welcome back to my channel. It's Christina, Homeschool and Grace, and today's video is a review of Exploration to 1850 from My Father's World. This is part of the family cycle. I used this last year to teach my 3rd grader and my 6th grader, and we really enjoyed this year. We've always really enjoyed these family cycles, and this was just another great year of learning. So let's dive into the curriculum, and I'll share with you what we liked, what we didn't like, what we got done, what we didn't get done, and we'll go from there. Let's start out with Bible and history. To start out with, we did Boy, Have I Got a Problem? Have I Got Problems? This is by Kay Arthur. I like this little book. I thought it really was helpful in teaching them the book of James. They seemed to enjoy it and learned a lot from James, I think we all did. And I like how they lay it out in it's kind of like in a letter format where someone's asking a question and then the kids answer that question. I think I wish that there was a little bit more to each of the memory verse portions. Sometimes it felt like all we were doing was a memory verse, where in the past there were more books, it seemed like, that were added to the Bible or just straight reading from the Bible, which I really enjoyed with other family cycles and parts of My Father's World, that the Bible had a bit more meat to it. This one seemed a little bit lighter than we've done in the past, but still a lot of good information. There were still stories from church history, which I think is really important, which I'll share with you next here. So we did also do some stories from Trial and Triumph. This is an excellent book. I've shared over and over again whenever I show this, on church history and martyrs and missionaries and just great people of the faith. This is an excellent book that was added in, and I just still really enjoy. We also did hymns, which was a great addition. We would sing the songs each day during school. We'd try and find a YouTube video that we could sing along with, and it was fun to learn the history of these songs and the people behind who wrote the songs. We also did In God We Trust. Now these were specific stories of the faith from American history, so godly men and women, but just from America. So that was a fun addition, and I think we'll actually be using this again with the next portion of the family cycle, which is 1850 in modern times. I think these next 3 actually will be included, so that'll be good to keep going through. Okay, so that was for Bible. Next, for history, we did Exploring American History. Now, this is like a textbook, and so I thought there was a lot of good information in this. I've heard from other people that sometimes I felt like it was redundant to like one of the other history books we did, if you read from both. But I sometimes like that because I feel like it just kind of reiterates that story to help like get it stuck in their brains. If you'll find in like scripture, there's a lot of time where they're repeating, or the Lord is even repeating over and over again like a command, because I think that we forget so easily. So sometimes when it is repeated, I think that's good for the child and for us, because then it really helps us to remember, oh yeah, that's what happened in the story. I did like the teacher's manual says you don't have to use them, but there are comprehension questions. Sometimes they were difficult to answer, but sometimes it just made it easier for that comprehension instead of having to like, okay, what did we learn about? And sometimes they'll just sit there like, I don't know what I learned. Like, okay, let's, it helps to pull it out of them what they just heard. So I like that part of it. Okay, another one of the textbooks that we used was Building a City on a Hill. This was another history book. I really like this one. Some people found it a little dry from what I've read, but I very much enjoyed it. We really enjoyed it when it got to the portions about like the Salem witch trials and the Puritans. I thought it was just fascinating, and my girls did too. And I think sometimes when you're excited about it, then your kids are excited about it too. So we actually enjoyed this one. I like that it had a biblical stance. you know, building that city on a hill. And then again, there's discussion questions. I really like it when books have discussion questions because it makes it easier for me. Again, to make sure that they're comprehending what we're reading. Now, this was geared mainly just for my 6th grader, but my 3rd grader would at times sit in, but I didn't always make her. If she was just like done, she could leave when we read this. Next, we read George Washington's World. This takes stories from history and kind of puts it more into like a story form, I found. It takes those historical facts. We really enjoyed the one from last year, which was Augustus Caesar's World. We did enjoy this one, but not quite as much. But I did like the pictures. We always like the pictures from in here, so I would always make a copy, and they could either color it or I'd post it so that they had something visual to look at while I read the stories to them. And again, they could color them, so that was pretty cool. The Last 500 Years we also used. This was an Usborne World History book. A lot of really great information. I think we will also be using this again this next year. But just a really, kind of again, just to solidify that information that they're learning about and just continue on with that. Okay, we also did Story of the World, Volume 3. We love Story of the World. I think it's a great history book. I will share, this did not come with the curriculum, but I did purchase the activity book because I like the discussion questions. That's why I bought it, just to go along with it. And so we would do the discussion questions, and then my littles got involved because they like to color the pictures in the back. So even my, 3-year-old, we pull this out at lunchtime, and they would get a kick out of coloring the pictures as we read. There was probably no comprehension, and that's fine. It was just all being together. But my older girls, I did require some comprehension that they had to talk with me with through the discussion questions. But you don't have to have that stuff. You can just read it and then just ask questions of what they learned or what you remember and go from there. Okay, another part of history was to do a state report. We never did this. We never did it. So I don't really have it. I'm trying to think of like a good excuse. We got to the end of the school year and we just didn't do it. So we didn't do it. I'm going to hang on to it. We may do it next year or another year. I'll save it for, maybe eventually we will get to it. But this year was not the year to do it. We also did use the U.S. President flashcards, which we'll again use for the fall, along with the student sheets to make the president cards pages. I've already filed them all away, all the student sheets that we use, so I don't have them here with me, but that's what we used those for, and we'll continue to use the U.S. President cards for the next school year. On to science. I'm missing a book, but I'm not sure. My kids must have taken it away. But we'll start out with what we have. Okay, The World of Animals. This is from Answers in Genesis. My kids loved this book. It was a really fun year for them for science. We also did, which was recommended in the teacher's manual, we dissected a frog and we dissected owl pellets. So that was a really fun thing for them to be a part of to go along with this curriculum. I did a whole kind of flip through of this book. If you're interested, I'll link it up here. It was just a flip through Friday that I haven't done very regularly, but of this curriculum that we really enjoyed. So that was a favorite. And I bet if I brought them in here, they both would say this one was their favorite curriculum. Favorite science, like ever. Okay, next, so this was only for half of the year. So for the other half, we did Exploring Creation with Botany. Now, we didn't get as far in this one as I would have liked, but they did enjoy this one as well, and I really appreciate the questions that came from it. And someone on the Facebook page for this 1850 exploration to 1850 created a whole science notebook, which was just fantastic. We used it for both girls, and I really liked it. It really helped. But We still talk about things like, why are there roots here when we see a tree near water, and what are the flowers doing? And it's just a really great, it gets very down to like those little minute things that plants do that you would just not even think about, and how God created it so amazingly to do these things that we just don't even think about. So it was a fun one as well. There was another book I don't have, Guide to God's Animals. I think my kids take it to their room and are probably looking at it like it's on their bed or something to look at at night. So I'm not sure where that one is. Okay, moving forward for the read alouds. And I think I might be missing some of my read alouds. Okay, we read Almost Home by Wendy Lawton. This is Daughters of the Faith series. This was a really great book on the Pilgrims from just a girl's perspective on the ship and everything. And I just thought it was an excellent, excellent book. And the girls really enjoyed this one as well. We also read Amos Fortune. I found this on Audible, and we all very much enjoyed listening to this one. It's by Elizabeth Yates. It's a great book about just a man that comes from slavery, and just his just will and endurance to keep going, and it was just a great story. Okay, next we read Madeline Takes Command. Again, I found this on Audible that we listened aloud to. This was a really neat book to hear the perspective of the French during this time with the Mohawks were coming and fighting them up in Canada. And how this gal, she was just super strong, and like, it's based on a true story. And so there's like a memorial to her still. And it's just a really neat story. How they just tried to make themselves look as big as possible and like full of people to stay safe. Another one was William Carey. I'm sad to say we did not finish this one. We started it and we just struggled to get through this one, which we typically always love these ones, but I did it differently this time. We did the Audible book instead of me reading it aloud, and I think that was the difference. I don't know if it was the reader or what. We just could not get into it. But what we did read, I thought was quite fascinating, and just all of these stories, these people of the faith were just so enduring of difficult times, and you just think, man, I am so weak. I don't think I could do anything like they did. And yet, when God calls you to do something, you obey. Okay, Mary Jones and Her Bible. This is a great little book. Just, again, wanting her own Bible and fighting to get it. I will say this wasn't my girl's favorite. I thought it was great, but they probably could take it or leave it. But I just thought it was so good. There was a thing I underlined. Let me see here. So I like this. And even a fall may teach us a lesson. The very word of God itself, which is a lamp to our feet and a light to our path, can't save us from many a tumble if we don't use it the right way. If we let the light shine on our daily life, the Lord will help us in all that we do. Remember this, Mary. It was just amazing. Like, she did not have a Bible, and how much she went through just to get one, and how we can just take that for granted. I mean, we have Bibles all over. We just don't even think about it. And she had a very hard life and just was still so faithful. So it's a great one. Okay, the other book I don't have because I can't find it was Bound for Oregon. Again, we didn't finish that one either. That was the last book for our read alouds this year, and it just we kept trying, and it just kind of got pushed to the side this summer. So unfortunately, we didn't finish that one. So let me know if you read that one and you liked it. Okay, for music and art, there was Introduction to Schubert, Mendelssohn, and Chopin. We did not finish listening to all of them as I had hoped, but we listened where we could. We also, for art, did God and the History of Art, Part 1 and 2, and we did quite a bit of it, not all of it. I found that my third grader was kind of lagging behind, so we ended up just dropping it for both of them by the end. But I still enjoy the lessons from it, and I like the little history notes that would add to the history lessons that we would go through. Okay, for the 2nd and 3rd grade supplement, what did I do with all those books? Okay, so I did have a 3rd grader, like I said, so we did do the supplements. So again, we read through American Pioneers and Patriots. I like this one because it takes the stories and turns it into, or stories from the past, and kind of gives a kid's perspective on them. And so that was fun for her. We also read through the North American Indians. We read through this one before. I think it's good information. And just the visuals are really neat, the illustrations. The 4th of July story. This is a classic. And again, really neat art. Okay, we read through The Courage of Sarah Noble and Sarah Witcher's story. She really enjoyed both of these. I think she likes the Sarah Witcher story better. It's pretty exciting with the bear and everything. So, but she liked both of those. And then the 4th of July story. Oh, that's not this one. I read that one already. Red, White, and Blue. This one I had her read aloud to me. And it was a good little storybook for her to read. And then the Complete Book of Animals. We did some of it. She didn't do much of it. But we did add in where we could remember. Now for their personal work, so language lessons for today, they both work through these. I really like language lessons for today, and we try to make sure that we do these ones. I really just appreciate the simple format of them, and it took probably maybe 15 minutes a day max for some of them, for some of the lessons, so it's a really great program. I'm not going to go over their math in this video, and other language arts, so like spelling. We didn't get much spelling done. I'm not sure what we're going to do in the fall. That one we ended up dropping. Oh, and then writing skills. My oldest did do writing skills up to like I think about halfway through, and then she took a literature class through our co-op, which required a lot of writing, and so we let her stop doing writing skills to do this literature class. So that was provided through our co-op. So it was a fun opportunity for her and kind of pushed her in areas that, you know, with someone else helping teach, I think was a good lesson for her and everything. So there you go. Okay, so that was Exploration 1850. It was a lot of stuff. As you can see, we really enjoyed it. We didn't do everything, but we did do a lot. We got probably to week 30, I believe, in the lesson plans. I think there's 32 in all. So pretty close to getting done, but not quite finishing everything, as you can see. But we really enjoyed it, and we're excited to start the next year. So if you like this video, here are some others to go and check out, and I hope to see you at the next video. All right, thanks. Bye-bye.